Welcome, Business Geeks, to the Business Geeks podcast. I'm Super Joe Pardo, joined by my awesome two co-hosts here, Jennifer Crawford from Sparent.co and Samantha Riley from SamanthaRiley.global. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. We are streaming on several different platforms. It looks like including Twitter. Are you, Sam? Are you streaming on Twitter as well?
Twitter. Yep.
I'm streaming to my Super Joe Pardo YouTube channel, the Super Joe Pardo Facebook page, the Business Geeks podcast page as well. We have quite a few different places. What is up, Tim? Good to see you in the comments today. Jennifer, how are you feeling today?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I am feeling pretty good. I am looking forward to next week, which is Thanksgiving. I get to see some family I haven't seen in a tremendously long time. Thank you once again, pandemic. And so, it's the chaos before the calm. We're just like trying to do the laundry and pack and get stuff situated for the dog. And, it's all good. It'll all get done. But, so that's how I am. I'm trying to wrap up work because I'm going to be off for a week, and
woo!
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
always
good.
ding for vacation,
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Love it. Sam, how are things down in Australia? How are you feeling today?
Oh my goodness, my tech issues this week, I am over them. However, I'm here, which I was for a little moment. My hands are still sweaty. For a little moment, I didn't think I was going to be. So actually, let's turn that around. It's a win. I am here. We got to Friday morning with tech issues all week, but we made it happen on the last day of the week.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hashtag winning.
I hope this is a win sign, right? This is a win sign.
Well,
I
was hoping it was not some sort of old loser kind of sign. That's exactly what I was thinking, Joe. Is there a loser sign that I don't know about?
No, I meant it as a winning sign. It's a winning sign, but in the climate that we're in, I'm just afraid I accidentally threw some inappropriate signaling out there.
Hopefully not. It was not intended here.
Not at all.
So there was a couple things that came up this week, and I thought we could kind of shine a light on our opinions, our takes as business owners, business geeks, if you will, on them. And you, Sam, you asked how I didn't mean to skip over that. I was
going to wait till you finish that sentence, and then hang on a minute, we need to loop back. I've got an open loop in my head. How are you, Joe?
I am wonderful. Today I celebrated 1 year of doing my reaction videos, taking YouTube seriously.
Oh, awesome. You need to give yourself a ding because I can't do it.
Thank you. It has been an incredible year. I had an amazing live stream. We had many people show up for that. I got to go over all the analytics and all the trials and tribulations, and that's going to get to one of the topics that we're going to talk about a little bit later, which I think we kind of talked about before from a business review standpoint, way back, probably episode 2 or 3 or 4 of Business Geeks.
Yeah, I think
it was early.
The first actual episode. Yeah.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, it might have been. It very well might have been. But I wanted to maybe revisit that now that I've had a different level of experience, and wanted to get your intake on input on that as well. But first, the Evergrande issue. So we're not gonna get into the whole business or geopolitical blah blah blahs. But there's a really interesting thing that's been happening, and people had speculated this for a while. So I wanted to get both of your input on this. So the Evergrande founder, if you don't know, Evergrande is the largest real estate development company in China. It's responsible for a third of their real estate in China, and they've had super issues, mounting up $300 billion in debt. And they have bond payments that they are routinely missing and then going right up to the edge of the 30-day grace period and making the payments up, which no one really had any solid answers or reporting on how they were making these payments. But Now it's come out that the Evergrande founder has been selling off his luxury assets to pay for his company's $300 billion in debt. And I wanted to get your thoughts, both of you, your thoughts on this idea of, the ship is going down. The ship is going down. It's sinking, right? And they might be able to bail it out. And I'm God willing, they will, because
Absolutely.
a lot of people are going to pay the price if they don't. Not just in China, literally around the world. And anyone who thinks otherwise is got their head up their butt. They're not thinking straight. So. Mm-hmm. The idea that you have this huge company and you have the ability, because the founder is not like some multi billionaire, right? Like he's not like almost a trillionaire or something where he just be like, oh, I'll just sell off a whole bunch of stuff and just sell and fix it. But in the short term, he's selling off mansions. He sold off 3 mansions worth $100 million each. I think 2 or 3 yachts. 2 or 3 jets, and then he, 2 or 3 jets, and then he also sold like a 60-meter yacht, which I don't know what converts to feet in that sense, but it's probably pretty darn big, as I know feet and meters are not they're not equal. So Sam, your company's going upside down. It's going, taking on water. Are you selling your assets, your luxury assets, to pay down these debts?
Now, obviously, I don't actually know a lot about this company, so I do want to say that right up. I only know it sort of from the peripherals. So it's really hard to say, because what's actually happening behind the scenes? Because, is it, when you look at the projections or when you look at the figures, are those numbers going up? Like, if you're selling them off because the numbers are heading in the right direction, then that's okay. But if you have no plan and the numbers don't look like they're tracking in that way, then I don't know how it's going to work. But also, $300 billion in debt. How many $100 million mansions do you have? Like, those numbers don't stack up.
Well, the money's not due all at once. The $300 billion is the spectacle number. It's the total amount. But there's a rolling bond payments. And those bond payments usually are around 100 to 150 million a piece, like at a time, on the due dates. So it might just be extending the inevitable. I'm hopeful that it's not, but if you're in that situation, or Jen, if you're in that situation, are you selling those things to keep the ship running? They are selling other parts of the company too. It's not just his assets.
I'm torn on this a little bit, only in the sense that I think he does have an obligation to some degree. He's the captain of this ship that is sinking, and so he has got to take responsibility for its failures, those failures resulting in this incredible, seemingly insurmountable debt. But I'm wondering if he's being compelled to sell off his assets. Like, I don't know what it's like in China. I'm thinking of, like, if you go to bankruptcy court, you are compelled to satisfy some of your debts, depending on what kind of bankruptcy you file. So I'm wondering if the Chinese government is compelling him to liquidate in order to offset this debt. I'm sure he's not doing it out of the kindness of his heart, but I think all of us are really sick of these corporate executives running businesses into the ground, costing taxpayers money, costing jobs, and then walking away like what they call it, Joe, the golden parachute. They walk away and they're still rich. And they go and live happily ever after with their, the destruction in their wake. To get that deep in debt, I mean, it's the real estate, and I can see how it could happen because these are very large assets. So your debt, when something's not going right, is going to be larger by scale. But it's still, that money represents a lot of people's lives, not just those assets, but a lot of jobs. And I imagine if they fail, it is going to have a tremendous domino effect in the economy. So there's a lot at stake here. This sounds like, the boy putting the hole in the dam, right? To what is that story where it's like
Oh, putting his finger in the hole
finger in the
to
hole
keep
that,
the water, the dam
right,
from busting. Yeah.
it's just gonna, the dam is still gonna bust. It's just a matter of like maybe it's gonna happen tomorrow instead of today. That's what it seems like.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
that if you can make if you can just make those payments. I mean, look, a lot of their problem isn't the 300 billion in debt. It's it's the pandemic, right? It's the shortage of supplies and workers and restrictions that, especially in China, that they've imposed. I mean, I don't know if either of you heard, like they shut down Disneyland Shanghai because a person tested positive the day before that
Oh,
was
yeah. Was
there.
that the one where they locked everyone inside for the
Yes.
whole day? Yeah.
Yes,
You're
and
not
then they
messing
did the
around.
fireworks show at the end. Well, like you see the video of like these people in hazmat suits doing the tests of like 30 some thousand people, and they're running the fireworks show in the background, and it's just like that was the fireworks show was to calm people to help like keep kids and people calm. And I'm like, wow, this is like some dystopian kind of like movie thing going on here. So I don't know if it's better or worse to have it, but yeah, then everybody tested negative and everybody was able to leave. But it's kind of, at that point it's kind of like for show because somebody was there yet the day before. Like it doesn't quite work that way. So, but anyway, that aside, I am of the belief that if he can make it right, I think he should, and I think that there is pressure from the Chinese government to like, like you can't just parachute out of this, and maybe and truth be told, he'll probably still get away with being worth a lot of money. I think he went from, if I remember correctly, I think he was worth like 45 billion, and now he's worth like 11, which I laugh, but like, and that's still a tremendous amount of money, right? But he is trying to make it right. They are selling off different assets of the company to save the ship, right? Cutting the arm off to save the body, kind of thing, or the hand to save the arm thing. So it's definitely hopefully it's not chasing bad money, right? Like at the poker table or something like that. In this
But this
case
is where I was
them.
saying before, to know those numbers, because I know I was just thinking as Jen was talking. So one of my first businesses, we had a dance store. We signed a contract, or we signed a lease, and it was not a good property. I won't get into the story, but our numbers didn't do what we needed to. We had to pay our lease payments, and we looked into the future and we went, wow, in 3 months' time we've run out of runway. And it was 3 months. So we're like, okay, well, what do? We only had two options, either close and break lease, and we were going to have costs that we had to keep paying, but we could go back to a job and do it, or we could sell our home. So what we did was sit down and look at the numbers and where they were tracking and what we were projecting and what we'd already done. So we didn't just make the decision on what do we feel like doing. We looked at the data into the future. It's still a risk. We still don't know what those numbers are going to be in the future, but we looked and went, no, we think we can pull out of this. And we did. We sold the home and we did pull out of it, and it's all a happy story, and we made a multi-million-dollar business. But it wasn't done just because we guessed. And I guess that's where I was talking about the numbers. He's going to know those numbers. So I'm going to, if you can, sell off assets to get out of it, if or have an idea that your numbers are tracking in the right direction, then much smarter. But
absolutely,
you need to know your numbers.
But in this case, he doesn't know what the pandemic's going to hold for the next 3 months, 6 months. So hopefully they're able to navigate a long enough time period out where we're talking 6 months to a year out, where it's like, okay, I might be totally broke by the end of this, but the company will still get to keep moving, and we will eventually start to build back. We will start to hit that peak problem and come back down off of that peak problem time, and move forward. So, again, that's a gamble given the fact that we don't know what the future holds for this particular situation. But yeah, so speaking of situations, we have not just my birthday anniversary of 1 year of doing reaction videos here on YouTube, but McDonald's hit their 50th birthday of the McMuffin. So they turned the birthday of the McMuffin into a promotion to market their app. How great, how awesome is that, right? So
That's very cool.
Offering the original McMuffin price at 63 cents if you ordered, it was today from like 6:30 in the morning to 10 a.m. through the app, you could get a McMuffin for 63 cents. How cool is that?
Can I just do a little public service announcement? This is not in Australia. We do not have 63-cent muffins in Australia.
McMuffins. Do you not have McMuffins?
We do have McMuffins, but hang on. Can I just say, yeah, we do have McMuffins. I've never called it a McMuffin. We're Aussies. We shorten everything. We don't even call it McDonald's. We call it Macca's.
Macca's? Is it a Macker muffin? What is it? What do you call McMuffin?
We just call McDonald's Macca's because McDonald's is too long. There's like too many syllables there. We're too lazy for that many syllables.
I like it. I like your efficiency in language. Yeah, that's fun. I mean, I think there's like some nostalgia there tied in with their birthday. 50 years ago, just to imagine that 50 years ago, it's just 63 cents for a McMuffin. And I don't know, I don't go to McDonald's, so I don't know how much they are now, but I imagine they're at least $3, maybe $2.95. I don't know.
I think I read that the price was coming back down, that they were bringing the price back down.
Okay.
I think that's really cute that they've done that.
Cute.
I really like it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the promotion, the marketing of like, let's get people to get on the app. Here's a really good reason. And they could have just did like, hey, it's the 50th anniversary. Like for 1 hour, we're going to offer a 63-cent McMuffin. You get in line. If you get an hour, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Right. But no, they offered it through pretty much the whole. I mean, they offer breakfast. I don't know. Do they have breakfast all day down there, Sam?
Oh my goodness.
That was a big thing a few years ago.
They did, but I don't know if they still do. I don't
know if they do either.
McDonald's,
I don't generally
I'm not
go
really
there.
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to hedge my bets and say they don't, but I could be wrong.
I just think I think it's a great lesson in like how do we take something and turn it into a bigger promotion than it already is, right? To get people tied into the app more than they might already be, and enable more business that way, which is
great.
Yeah, I do too. And again, I didn't go to McDonald's to get a 63-cent McMuffin, and probably won't be going to McDonald's anytime soon. But just thought it was a really cool idea.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I have a question for you. So today's your 1-year anniversary, right? We've covered that, and I think that is enough of a milestone to celebrate. But if you look ahead and maybe let's say 25 years, what are you going to do to celebrate your YouTube channel, your business? How are you going to do something creative?
Oh, Jen, that's an awesome question.
25 years. Okay, well, I am almost 8 years into this, or 7 years, 8 years, 8 years into this journey as a whole. Lorraine says Macca's don't do all day breakfast anymore. Yeah, probably because of with the pandemic they probably stopped, which I don't blame them. We talked about that last week, right? Not offering everything all day. I mean, I think, well, I mentioned this, on our first episode back here in season 2 about going on a world stadium tour. I think, that's absolutely where I want to head. And I'll tell you, I don't think, since I talked to either of you last, I received an email in my inbox, really weird email that I was not solicited. So it was kind of spam. But it was weird in the sense that it sells, and it was sending straight to me at like joe@superjoepardo.com, ticketing gates for stadiums. Like, how they have like a revolving door, like, and you can use, it has like RFID like scanners and stuff. So you could like scan your ticket and walk into the stadium. Now, obviously I would have no reason for that, even if I was renting stadiums, but just really weird that I would get an email out of the blue about, ticket entry gate systems.
Well,
I
it's
think
it's like
not
a
so weird. You're famous now, Joe, right? You're YouTube
Yeah.
famous. So that's
I'm
what
from the
happens, you know?
universe.
You have to
Yeah.
deal with the fame.
Yeah.
Not
Joe,
quite
this
yet.
is-
Not quite yet. Not quite yet. But I do think, I definitely see taking the Super Entrepreneur Conference on a world tour, and who knows, Icon could always be right in the wings as well, right? You go to a city and you do an Icon and you do a Super Entrepreneur Conference in the same week. Sounds
Awesome.
exhausting to me, but I absolutely would love it. Tim says the super ticket taker. Yes, that'll be me. I'll take all the tickets. I'll do all the things. No, I don't know. I don't know what 25 years later would look like. My hope is that aside from doing the, going on tour and stuff like that, I want to do more of. So I did the top with Super Joe Pardo, where I went to a business and we worked on the business that day and made a whole video out of it. I want to do more of that. I want to go, in person and well, hopefully, as the pandemic kind of is subsiding here, sort of, not really, like sort of, but not really. I think that is something that I can definitely get into doing more of and going and having that awesome experience with these business owners and working with them one-on-one. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else there is, like world tour. And working on a higher level of one-on-one business owners.
All right. Well, I didn't hear any sort of breakfast sandwich involved, so.
Well, you wouldn't. I don't normally breakfast sandwiches.
I know. Well, that's okay. That's okay.
Oh, you're disappointed. You wanted to hear about breakfast sandwiches?
Yeah, I thought we might all get a breakfast sandwich.
Tell you what, when you come on tour with me, there will be breakfast sandwiches on the bus. All right,
I was
or at the
going to say,
hotel.
like, when you come to Australia, like, exactly, we'll make sure that we do the McMuffins on the way to the conference.
Oh God,
There you
no, we don't need to do that. We'll end up in the bathroom before it starts.
Our Macca's is better than US Macca's. Just saying.
We have a question from
We
David
do.
Barnes. Shout out to David for showing up. It's good to see you in the comments.
Hey, David.
Jen, why don't you read the question?
Yeah, David asks, how can I do a presentation to a large government organization who has a team of people in the hundreds? I am currently doing a better job with one person to make them not feel threatened.
So to give a little more background on that, he said we have an app, small travel journal, events magazine, and social website. It is miles ahead of the official tourism body. There was a comment there. I'm not sure if the comment got broken off or something like that in Restream, but could somebody help me in how I should approach the soon to have meeting so to relax them and that I am working with them, not against them.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
And he says, congrats on 1 year. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being a part of the super community as well.
Yeah.
So who wants to take the first stab at that?
Well, okay, I'm going to bow out of this one because I think that it's very different in Australia and America how this works. Because in Australia, this wouldn't happen this way because, yeah, I'm going to bow out and leave you two to this one.
Well, let's just take it from a presentation level, right? You have a presentation to give, so like for me personally, anytime I've given a talk, I actually, if I had to prepare slides, I am nervous. I'm nervous before that because I can't change my slides on the fly. Though I was talking to somebody. I'm doing an interview that'll be out next Wednesday with the guy from Bueller who was on Shark Tank last weekend, and he was talking about creating a like choose your own adventure with a slideshow so that you could actively like, hey, if these jokes aren't hitting, if this
Oh, wow. Yeah.
delivery isn't hitting,
That's
you could
cool.
like choose your own adventure to like the next thing. And we were talking about that in the interview. But I think I'm usually the one that's nervous because of things like that, but I feel like I need a little more background to quite understand the wholeness of it. But when it comes to making other people relax, I mean, comedy to me is generally the best, the best medicine, right? And the best path to making it work. And if you can make that comedy stick within your, relate to everything that you're doing, obviously you're not doing a comedy show, but making it light, making people feel like you're human up there and not just like a robot, and I think one thing I would like to point out is I guess he's bringing something that's like a change to an organization. I can speak to that part of it. When I was bringing the what's it called, the inventory algorithm to Pardo Truck Service Parts, it was not a very welcome change by a lot of people, because they were being told like, hey, you don't need to hold on to 10 of these parts that make you feel nice and warm and fuzzy and everything, and even though you think that you have, the guy that buys them all the time is coming in every week, and he's actually coming in like he hasn't been there in over a year, it's like cool, but I would say look for the middle ground. Look for things that you can agree on, and to get people on. If it's like, hey, if we can agree on this, then maybe we can like find a way to get to agree that this is a better way, or that this is a good change for you. Like, it's always about like what's in it for you, right? Not what's in it for me or what's in it for people that aren't you. Because at the end of the day, those people that you're talking to, they're the ones that have to live and die with that change, or they're going to like leave. But in the case of a government organization, probably not leaving, because like they might have a pension or something and reasons to stay. So I would try to find the best middle ground possible and work from that middle ground of like, what win-wins can we create that is going to make maybe not everybody happy, but at least get everybody to say, okay, I'm at least open to what's being said here. Because when we make up our mind about something, and we've seen it in a lot in the last 5 years of politics, it's it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong, or we've been disproven or proven. We're going to live and die by what we feel.
Yeah, I agree with Joe that change is very hard for people. Even when they say they want change, they will be resistant to it. But in this case, if I understand correctly, you're presenting to an established organization with a history, the tourism board, and then you're coming in with this new flashy thing that you think is going to help the tourism board. So I think, one, you have to go in with a great deal of reverence and respect for their institution that has that history. And I think you build on that respect by expressing your passion for tourism, because I'm sure that's where the genesis of this app came from. So there's your commonality. And then from there, I would express the triple win. So how are they winning by your app? How is the tourism board winning? And then, of course, you've got to win too. That's only fair. But I would, and I would also make sure, since we're talking tech, I find that people that develop apps often start with like the minutia of the app, and start talking tech speak, because they want to impress upon who they're selling to their knowledge, when really that's nobody cares. They just care about what it does. So that's what I would do. And I agree with Joe. If you can do humor authentically and comfortably, like don't tell cheesy jokes, but if that's just something that comes naturally to you, I mean, humor is a great icebreaker. Everybody likes to laugh. But yeah, that's the advice I've got. I can see why you're worried about them being nervous, but I'm surprised you're not nervous. I mean, I would be very nervous going in front of an institution like that. So good for you for being gutsy and getting that opportunity. That's a great opportunity.
Absolutely. Have you guys seen the documentary? It's on Disney Plus here in Australia, called Own the Room, which is the documentary that follows the Global Student Entrepreneur Awards. Have you guys seen that documentary?
Oh,
I
I
have it.
highly,
I have it. I have it, but I haven't
highly
watched it.
recommend it. And just as you were both of you were talking, I thought it actually could be helpful because as you're watching these students, win their national awards and go to the global awards, and I can't remember where it was held, like Malaysia, I think. And you're actually seeing them put their pitch decks together and how they're presenting their apps. It could be super helpful to see the documentary just to get that behind the scenes story and understand how story is so relevant and not the exact, like you said, Jennifer, not the little tiny bits of the app. It's actually the story that's going to sell it.
Yes.
So it could be super helpful to have a look at that documentary. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
It sounds like something I would love.
I just marked it. I'm definitely gonna watch it. I was thinking about getting rid of the elliptical, but I usually watch documentaries while I do the elliptical, and you just reignited my reason to potentially keep that.
Oh, that's a win-win then. That's definitely a win-win.
Yes, I mean I prefer to run outside because then I'm not looking at a screen, because that's like I go from looking at a screen there to looking at a screen here to looking at a screen here to a screen here to my laptop. It's just. But yeah, no, I need to watch that documentary. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh man. So I guess real quick, one thing that David said, perfect, brilliant, Super Joe and Jennifer and Samantha, win-win-win situation. So middle group, so we both win and both sides. Thanks, guys. I don't get nervous. Made loads of notes as you spoke. Thanks. What was the name of the documentary again? The name of the documentary
is called Own the Room.
Own the room.
Done by National Geographic, which is kind of
it was so good.
Odd that National Geographic would be the one to put that one out.
I think because they were following students from all around the world. There was a student there from Nepal. There was someone there from somewhere in Africa. There was a student from. She was in the US, but her hometown was in. It wasn't Puerto Rico, but I can't think of the name of the country. So they were actually following like all around the world. So I think that's probably why National Geographic did it.
So interesting. Thanks for the great question, David. It was our honor to answer it.
Absolutely.
And best of luck too.
Yeah.
Please let us know how you make out. I'm really curious, David. He's always down in the comments on my channel. So speaking of comments down in my channel, I wanted to bring up we talked at the beginning about negative feedback, negative comments, and I've spoke a lot about this. I did a video that's like an hour and a half with our friend Larry Roberts, all about all these negative comments that I've received over the last year. And to me, I think it's really interesting. I'm starting to see the shift in like positive comments come through now at a higher rate than they were before, and comments that are just not negative comments, but just comments on, the product or the video or whatever, versus like super negative, like super like degrading comments that I get. That I know both of you probably see them. I post them to Facebook, usually to friends only, because I don't want everyone in the world to be able to see them. But it's so interesting to me, and I think the fascinating thing is that I feel terrible for the people who are receiving comments like this who aren't me. Like, and I don't deal with it the best either, right? Like, I tell people I appreciate you watching and commenting, and then I actually go and hide their comments from the channel, so they can comment all they want from there on out, and I don't have to deal with it. No one has to see their abusive comments. But I didn't always feel that way, and I will say that even knowing that, it still kind of wore on me for a while. And now that the balance of power is starting to be like 1 or 2 or 3 negative, like really like just degrading comments a week versus like for 5, 10, 15 positive comments in a week, it's starting to shift the balance, and I'm starting to feel like 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 I'm hitting that tipping point of like, it doesn't, it really doesn't matter what they say. Like I used to say that before, but I didn't really believe it. Like it was hard to believe when you get like bing, bing,
Because it's
bing, bing,
personal,
like,
right?
well, and that's the
It is
thing,
personal.
right? So
Yeah.
I would love to get your takes on negative comments. Like, have you guys ever gotten a negative comment feedback on your podcast or your reviews? And how have you handled it? Jennifer,
I
you
actually haven't
or
had
Sam?
I actually haven't had a negative review on my podcast. I'm going to say yet, because of course it's going to happen. I've got friends that have, and they are really personal. People that leave negative reviews don't seem to leave constructive criticism, do they? It's very personal all the time, and it's really awful. And I know a friend of mine, it just sent her into a tailspin of tears for like 48 hours, and it really eats away at your confidence. Thankfully I haven't, but boy, have I had some negative stuff on my social media posts. And I have learnt, because I'm a very hot, fiery person, I have learnt to not answer for at least a couple of hours till I let it digest, because I don't want to turn it into an argument. But what your comments are a little bit different to the ones that I've received, Joe, where yours are very, I'm not even going to say, they're very personal. Mine have been more like wrong kind of comments. So, and I think that what's interesting about this is, where has the art of the debate gone? Where has you're allowed to have an opinion and I'm allowed to have an opinion and neither of us need to be right? Like, where has the art of that gone? The art of opening up conversations and learning. I feel like it's just disappeared.
And then there's just plain mean people out there hiding behind, they're made up avatars. They're anonymous, which gives them, I don't know, the audacity to make troll-like comments. I think there's like different levels of negativity, right? There's like just the trolls that can be discounted. Then there are people that might be, I don't know, what's above a troll, that might have some legitimate negativity. Like maybe there is something constructive in their comment.
Rude critique.
But
I
they're
would say.
but they're rude.
They're still
about
rude,
it.
but
They're
it's
rude.
critiquing, and there might be like a good hint there.
Yeah. And then there's people that just don't agree with you, and like you said, Sam, they can't just disagree. They have to disagree with an insult or with some sort of a degradation involved in that disagreement, where they don't see any gray area. It's black or white. You're wrong. I'm right. I think we have somehow, even though we have more communication channels than ever, we are getting worse at communicating communicating with respect and dignity for our fellow humans. So I've seen some of those comments, Joe, and I feel for you. I just say personally, I have a pretty thick skin. And like you, Sam, although I don't have a YouTube channel and I never really got a lot of negativity on my, long ago podcast, I have had social media comments that have been negative, and I don't feel a need to reply back at all. It does not affect me. Like, I barely know you. Your opinion means very little to me. I never feel like I have to reply back, because that's my very valuable time, and I'm not going to waste it on somebody whose opinion means so little to me. And I think sometimes we forget that we don't have to reply. Joe, I'm not talking about you, because I think your replies to your negative comments are brilliant. And I think,
so do I.
I think the way you have replied has actually resulted in less negativity, is my guess, because you've replied so positively, and you're not getting under the skin of these trolls, which is really their reward, is when they get under your skin. You're not rewarding them. You're not feeding the trolls, so they're starving and dying. I really think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I would agree. I mean, even before I started hiding the comment, and the only reason I started hiding the comments was because I wanted to cultivate the culture in the comments so that
Mhm.
people that saw those, like, originally it was like, oh, cool. People see that I said, I appreciate you watching and commenting, and I'll
Mhm.
include their name if they actually have a real name versus like
Yeah.
just some random, thing. Um, and, and then I ended up, thinking like, well, while I did get likes on those I appreciate you comments, I didn't want people to see those negative comments and think like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't, maybe this comment section isn't for me. I don't want to get attacked for having
Mhm.
having an opinion or
Mm-hmm.
something. So I'm like, you know what? I'll still say I appreciate you. And literally I have it as a shortcut key. So it's
Mhm.
IAY. And then it fills in the text on my phone. And then I just hide the user from the channel so they get shadow banned effectively. And I don't like censorship, which is why I kind of have like a love-hate relationship with doing so. But at the same time, like I don't want to remove the comment because then that kind of pushes the narrative in a different direction, an even worse direction, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because then they'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I'm going to start, spamming, or I'm mad because they delete my comment. Like, okay, you had something negative to say. I hope you have a better day. Here's my 3-letter answer that, shortcuts into a full sentence. And I've actually have turned people around with
I was
that
gonna say I've
with that
seen that.
comment.
I've seen you do that. I've seen you
Yeah.
turn people
Yeah.
around.
So and
Yeah.
and and with that said, like I've actually gone through and removed people from the shadow ban list just to see if they're still commenting on those videos. But I haven't had too many of the that come back and continuously try to beat up me or the channel or anything to that effect. But Sam, I wanted to come back to something that you said about letting it stew for an hour or two or a couple of hours. And I'll tell you, it's something that I've had to learn to do because even things that aren't negative, but I don't necessarily agree with them, I have to give it more thought, especially when
Mm-hmm.
people will leave comments and they'll be talking about a very specific point of the video. It was like a 20-minute video, but they didn't say where I said that. And I'm like, oh God. Okay, so I'm gonna go back through the video to figure it out, and I've kind of gotten away from that now. So one of the things, and giving that space to breathe has enabled me to reread those comments and sometimes reinterpret those comments
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I want to like take a little offense to them, but then I reread them like, oh, like an hour later, like, oh, okay, it wasn't actually talking about me, or it wasn't actually talking about something as negative as I thought it was. And sometimes they'll edit their comment and then it'll make a little more sense because there seems to be a lot
Mm-hmm.
of, and I do it too, like missing words in comments
Mhm.
and typos and things. But giving that space, I think, is important. So that's a great point. And Jen, to your point of the thick skin, like while I have always been a heart on the sleeve kind of person, literally going back to being a kid, I have learned to not let those things get to me so much so, right? And
Mhm.
I'll say that the one-offs here and there is not bothering me as much as say it was when it was like, oh, I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 comments in a row that are all negative, and like, oh no, it's like everything. But then even when I would get those comments, the subscriber count was still going up on the channel. So it's like,
Yeah.
well, for every one person that's saying something negative, then you get a super positive comment, but it's on a different video. So nobody that's
Yeah.
on that video is going to see that comment until they get to
Right.
that video. Like
And
it's things like that.
there's something to be said for the vocal minority, right? Like a lot of people are out there loving your videos, enjoying them, watching them all the time, but they'll never comment. That's the majority. It's really the minority that makes the comment, make those comments. Um,
100%.
yeah.
100%. Can I just say though,
Yeah.
Joe, what I've taken from watching you over the year and watching those comments, and I do see a lot of those comments, I actually think that it has taken your personal brand to a whole new level. There is no one that follows you that would not know after watching all of those comments in the way that you respond. If there's anyone that doesn't think you're a good guy now, like I would be very surprised. So the way that you've done it has been super classy, and it is
Mhm.
really, really take like your personal brand is very aligned with who you really authentically, genuinely are. So
Try to be.
I
I try to be.
I think that's a very big takeaway from this.
Yes,
That, you know, if
absolutely.
you want your brand to be, you know, like the I can't
Wendy's.
think of someone that's an argumentative kind of person, then
Mm.
they could easily like be answering in a different way, and their brand will reflect that. The way that you've answered, I appreciate you. You know, we know that you're a caring person, you care for people, and that has really given your personal brand such a big I'm not going to say lift, but it's really cemented what you know
Yeah.
who you are. So that's my takeaway from watching it over the year.
I
Well,
agree. I think
thank you.
it's strengthened it, if nothing, else. It
Yeah.
really strengthened it. And what did Michelle Obama say? You go low, we go high. Like, you did not let those people drag
Mm-hmm.
you down into negativity. So that's what I mean. It's like it strengthened your brand. Like, if you were going to go negative, if you were going to go less than super, you would have gotten in the mud and rolled around with the pigs. But you didn't. You stayed there. You stayed super. You stayed positive despite all that negativity. And it takes a lot of strength of character to do that, to not be pulled down into that pit of negativity. So I applaud you for how you've handled yourself. And I think it was visible. And I think that was something that it was very good that was visible, that exchange. And I'm glad that you took control over it too, though. Like, you have this ability to control those comments and that, your comment feed within YouTube. And I think you did a really good job of figuring out your boundaries there and how you wanted to project your brand and your content within those boundaries. So I think that's another level of maturity and business prowess that you showed us.
Absolutely.
Oh, I thank you, both. I do really appreciate it. I mean, look, with that said, I still have the realist of like, go buy the show if you don't want to see, you don't want to see me, but and things of that nature. But so I do appreciate people watching. It does in turn, in some ways, help the channel. And I want people to have a better day, right? Like, it just doesn't always sit right with me that those people feel like that for themselves. I want them to have that experience, even if they should probably just go buy the show if they really want to see it without me. Like, that's not what the point of that's not the point. I get, so but that's what I always say. Like, I'm a positive realist, and the realism, the cynic and the realist in me is like, go buy the show, right? Like, stop being cheap. Stop trying to tell me how I'm a broke person living in my mom's basement or something when my mom doesn't even have a basement. Like, come on now. Like, you didn't even fact check. Come with the facts. Like, let's get the facts straight first, right?
Yeah.
So so it's just important, I think. But I being. Knowing that brand, and like I mentioned, Wendy's, right? Wendy's is always snarky on Twitter, right? And having somebody that could stay on brand like that is important. And in the case of a personal brand, it's really important to make sure that it is genuine, and that because otherwise it's like it'd be really hard to like fake this kind of stuff, and you see it with like Ellen coming out that like Ellen's not the nice lady that you thought she was. Like, oh wow. Well, I mean, with that said, there's a high demand on those types of people, and I could totally see why they do certain types of narcotics to keep it going. But at the end of the day, I think it's important that if you come up with the plan and stick to that plan, and even adjust and make micro changes and stuff, that's where things are really going to work out for you. And I'm seeing the fruits of that labor. Yesterday, I had a talk with somebody who, because of my Shark Tank, one of the videos, the newer videos, they were really impressed. They reached out. We had a meeting, and they're like, looking for a partner for their business. So I'm like, well, let's have a conversation.
That's awesome.
And I have a couple other people that are looking for the same thing now. So like for comments like the one I just received earlier today that like, save your commentary or save your effort, bud, quote, save your effort. It doesn't make any sense. And it is working with the people. Cause it's, I also want to say, when I get those negative comments, my first thought is congratulations, woo! You found a piece of content that wasn't meant for you, and you felt so compelled to make a comment about it and take more time out of your life around it. Congratulations. What do you want me to say? This is the internet. It's the black hole of time sink, and you found something that wasn't meant for you. Anyway, speaking of meant for you, this Business Geeks podcast is meant for you if you have a business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to get better. Sam and Jen, I absolutely appreciate getting to spend every week with you. Unfortunately, we will be off next week. We will not be here at our normal time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. That's a mouthful. But we will be back the following week. I don't know what the date is. There's always a catch, right? The following week we will be back. The 9th. The 9th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Or no, I'm sorry, not the 9th. The 2nd.
No.
December
the
2nd.
Yes,
December 2nd.
2 weeks vacation?
Yes, no, not 2 weeks vacation. December 2nd, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Friday, 8 a.m. Friday the 3rd, December 3rd, Australian Eastern Standard Time. So we will be back then. I hope everybody has an amazing Thanksgiving, right? I hope
Yes.
Sam, you don't have Thanksgiving down there, do you?
No, but still wishing. No, we do not. No, but still wishing you all happy.
I should still
Thanksgiving.
celebrate. Go get yourself some turkey, and if you have turkey in Australia, is that a thing?
Yes, Joe, we do have
Okay.
turkey.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know.
Everything's
Cool. Fair enough.
Turkey was supposed to be the national bird before the bald eagle. So I mean, just saying that maybe that was a thing that maybe you don't have it down there. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know why any of that makes any sense, but what does make sense is that we will be back next week, or not next week, in 2 weeks. So take care, and we will see you all then. Go to businessgeekspodcast.com. Go check out, what's the website? Your podcastconcierge.com?
Yourpodcastconcierge.com.
They're awesome.
Yes, go. They are awesome. Leon, we love you. Take care, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.